Okay, so Fallout Season 2 trailer just dropped. And given the fact that every Fallout YouTuber is coming out of the woodworks like a rad roach coming after a bit of fancy lad snack cake, we're going to talk about it. As a longtime Fallout fan, I did really enjoy the first season of Fallout. However, for me, Fallout New Vegas was always my favourite Fallout game. It was the very thing that inspired me to make this channel in the first place. So I am keen as a bean to see what happens now that we're heading to the Mojave in this season. Now, rather than me running through a scene-by-scene playthrough of the entire trailer, like seriously, you can just go watch it yourself, I wanted to focus on the factions and settings I spotted within it, and what role I believe they'll be playing in the upcoming season. Now to start, the region of the Mojave. At the end of Season 1, we saw Hank enter the Mojave, but New Vegas no longer seemed to be the shining jewel of the region. We see Lucy and the Ghoul enter the Mojave, and get a better glimpse of the Mojave itself that does seem to support this contention that the region has suffered in the recent years. As although there does seem to be quite a lot of communities around New Vegas, it all looks fairly run down, in stark contrast to the projected furnace of industry that Mr. House predicted it would be by the current year that it is. For starters, we get a glimpse of Novak. Novak still appears to be standing, however it looks as if Lucy and the Ghoul have torn the place apart, or someone else has. Bodies lay across the ground, a car is on fire, and someone is kicked into the pool by the Ghoul before bursting into an explosion. I did feel like there was a little bit of a callback to Boone in the Dinky the Dinosaur, as the Ghoul tips his hat to Lucy in there after the explosion, much the same as the Courier would have done when Boone shot Jeannie May, or another unfortunate when they were brought out in front of it so many years ago. From the route that we can see that Lucy and the Ghoul enter the Mojave, and the fact that they go to Novak, it does appear to be that they're following the same sort of route that the Courier did follow in New Vegas itself, so maybe Quarry Junction is still a Deathclaw death camp. It's unknown if we'll get to see any of the other landmarks within the Mojave, such as Prim, Nipton, or Good Springs. The next place that we see is the New Vegas Strip, and as stated, the New Vegas Strip itself no longer really seems to possess any of its past splendour. Where once it was a city-state of lights filled to the brim with tourists, gamblers, shopkeepers, and robots, it now seems to be as desolate as any other region in the Wasteland. For example, we get to see a shot of Lucy and the Ghoul huddled behind a car wrecked out front of Gomorrah, the Hotel of Sin, with the Ghoul shooting at something nearby, causing it to explode. There's a shot of a Deathclaw stalking the duo as well, which, while it's hard to determine if it is within the walls of Vegas, the lights behind the Ghoul appear to be reminiscent of the pattern seen on the Lucky 38 casino. With this next scene, I'm not 100% certain if this is in front of the Tops or it's just an advertisement for it. However, we get to see Lucy shoot what appears to be feral former members of the King's Gang, as the outfit is a match for the Jailhouse Rocker outfit, and their hairstyles are also very Elvis-esque, especially for ghouls. And although it's not in the strip per se, our heroes evidently attend the Atomic Wrangler in Freeside, with the Ghoul falling backwards out of a window while firing at somebody. Interestingly, it does appear that a shopkeeper or vendor is selling their wares on the street below, so maybe Freeside is safer now than New Vegas itself. Mr. House evidently will be making a reappearance in Season 2, definitely in flashbacks but likely in the present day as well. For his pre-war appearances, his actor has been replaced with Justin Theroux, and evidently crosses paths with Cooper Howard in the Lucky 38 itself. From what we gather, Cooper and his wife Barb had travelled to Las Vegas and the Lucky 38 in pre-war times, sometime after Cooper had learnt about Barb, Mr. House and the Vault-Tec executives' plan to start a great war of their own to ensure Vault-Tec survival. There are some shots of Cooper pulling up to the casino, riding a bucking bull in the shape of an atomic warhead, and most ominously, Cooper is seen in Mr. House's inner sanctum, accessible only to himself, his robotic servants, and esteemed guests, such as the Courier and now Cooper. Mr. House states a line claiming that he's the very best at what he does, and what he does is that he knows everything. Now I think this is a reference obviously to his predictions of an atomic war being a certainty, but I also think that somehow Mr. House knows that Cooper had been listening in on the Vault-Tec meeting, and therefore that Cooper knows about their grand plan. In the beginning of the trailer, Lucy asks why her father would travel to Las Vegas, with the Ghoul stating that, "You want to know why the world ended? It started here." Beyond this, we don't know too much more. Mr. House's initiation into Vault-Tec's plan in Season 1 always did strike me a little off-center. as there's basically no indication of it in Fallout New Vegas. Obviously on one hand, it's a retcon, since the game's designers had never planned that, but Mr. House's grand plans for New Vegas seem centered less on being beholden to another company such as Vault-Tec, but to protect New Vegas and reignite humanity under his stewardship. Whereas now it seems that he's part of the organisation in one way or the other, given that Hank travels all the way there to meet him. Now, I will need to eat humble pie, or perfectly preserved pie in this case, as I had done a video basically stating that I did not think Caesar's Legion would be appearing in Season 2 in anything other than a flashback at most, or at least a token gesture of like a flag on the ground. In fact, I'd even said that if I was incorrect, you could call me a degenerate who belongs on a cross. And it looks like I belong there. This is due to the fact that we can see Lucy being led into what is definitely a Legion camp, meaning that the Legion does still exist into its present day. The next shot shows a man wearing a circlet, reminiscent of the Caesar of old, but also wearing the armour of the 87th tribe, also known as Linnaeus' armour. It's difficult to tell if this is Legate Linnaeus himself who's assumed command in Caesar's death, or if a new member has arisen and potentially taken both his armour and the rosary circlet of Caesar to legitimise their role as a new leader of the Legion. However, what is definitely for certain is that the soldiers of the Legion get around their boy, considering the hoorah they're giving for him. And honestly, major props to the showrunners for deciding to include them. I had originally stated that, given the fact the Legion is so savage as a nation, that it would be very, very hard to include them, given all the genocide, abuse, slavery that they commit. I felt the only reason they would be included was to give some lens of like the Brotherhood of Steel or Vault-Tec being bad, but you know, there's a bigger, badder group out there that almost makes them look good, or it justifies their evil activities to, control the wasteland, because see what happens when people are left to their own devices? They start copying the Romans and putting people up on crucifixes. I've really got to be honest with you though, I am so goddamn excited to see them. I started this whole channel basically as an outlet to talk about New Vegas and, specifically the Legion originally. To see them in a syndicated show is something I never imagined would have been possible. The Brotherhood are evidently back as well, with Maximus seen riding in a vertibird alongside Kumail Nanjiani, who is confirmed to be playing a high-ranking Brotherhood official. After the events of Fallout Season 1, Maximus had been promoted to the rank of Knight, and now considered in the upper echelons of the Brotherhood. Their power-armoured soldiers are also seen underground mowing down feral ghouls that have rushed them, and another in a different scene taking cover while fighting a Securitron. However, what I'm most excited to see is the fact that we spot not one, not two, not three, but 4 airships akin to the Prydwen in the region. One of them looks like it's been shot out of the sky, so it's lucky they have backups, I guess. It does speak to how powerful the Brotherhood have become, given the fact that they have the capability to build multiple moving fortresses and have them travel across the breadth of the former United States. It's unknown exactly why they would have come to the Mojave, however. Season 1 ended with the Brotherhood laying claim to the cold fusion reactor, bringing light and control to the region of California. Some time is stated to have passed in between seasons, so potentially they had consolidated their holdings and sought to lay claim to any other technologies hidden away in the Mojave. I did sort of speculate at the end of Season 1 that the Brotherhood was heading towards some sort of civil war, maybe. Elder Quintus finishes the season talking to Maximus, stating that they will rebuild a new Brotherhood under his leadership, which does seem to be a bit of a stark contrast to the fact that Arthur Maxon appears to be the High Elder of the entire Brotherhood. Like, the commands to go find the cold fusion reactor and hunt down Wilzig came from the Commonwealth itself. So I don't know, potentially that's one of the reasons that the airships are crashing to the ground, that, Brotherhood Civil War, Electric Boogaloo 2. In the trailer scene, we don't really get that many appearances from Hank. Hank appears in one scene and has located some sort of secret subterranean Vault-Tec lair in the Mojave. For what purpose? Who can tell? The interesting part is that another 2 somewhat unseen vaults evidently do appear in the short trailer. For one, Lucy appears to wake up inside a vault bedroom. Its clean and cheery layout, a contrast to the world that she's known above. It's a short glimpse, but she does seem somewhat confused by her surroundings, waking up, looking around, and taking in what she can behold. Just my opinion, but I think it may be a dream sequence potentially, or at most her father's kidnapped her and brought her to the subterranean vault, possibly to show her how good she had it before. We also get to see a bit more of a somewhat unseen vault, Vault 31. Prior to the trailer, we've caught a glimpse before of Norm Maclean standing before a group of Vault dwellers wearing Vault 31 outfits. At the conclusion of the last season, Norm had reached Vault 31 and become aware of its true nature. It was not actually a control vault like the others, but instead consisted of cryostasis chambers for pre-war Vault executives to be thawed out and placed in positions of power in Vaults 32 and 33 to guide them on Vault-Tech's true mission. Norm himself chose to be incubated in an empty chamber, given the fact that there was no escape from the Vault on his own. However, from his stance in the photo, it looks as if he's in a position of power of some sort. Another short glimpse does show Vault 31 residents fleeing a radroach infestation, with one dweller already down being eaten, while others give in to their flight or fight reactions. We also catch a glimpse of Vault dwellers at a party, surrounding a table and seeming to be dancing and celebrating. However, we're unable to see the logos on their back to confirm exactly which Vault they belong to. From the scenes above, my theory is that the Vault having the party and the Vault under attack by the radroaches are one and the same. Purely my own thinking, so I may be wrong, but perchance the frozen Vault 31 executives ran through virtual reality simulations of what can happen in the actual vaults to best prepare them for when they're unfrozen. This is largely based on the fact that from what we see of the actual Vault 31, there's no actual infrastructure to support residents like the others. It was just row upon row of cryotubes. But anyway, let's see what happens. Something that I had touched on before, but it looks like we'll be getting quite a lot of pre-war flashback scenes, which I did love from the first season. There are the aforementioned interactions with Cooper Howard and Mr. House in the Lucky 38, but also a scene of Cooper holding his daughter while people run panicked behind him, with his own face bearing the Vault-Tec logo smiling back down at him. It also seems that we get to see a bit of Cooper's time in Alaska during the Sino-American War, which I'm very excited about. The resource wars were the very thing that led to the destruction of the planet, and yet we get to see so little of the battles and conflict that embroiled the world, so I'm very keen for that. Ultimately, to close off, it's a short trailer, and there's often only so much you can infer from 1 or 2 second clips of scenes from the television show. Lots of the theories or speculations I had could be way off the mark. But again, as someone who loved Fallout New Vegas, I'm so excited to see what this next season will bring. The second season will come out in mid to late December, so we've only got 4 months to go.